$5,500. That's what they fined me for snow. Not snow I made, not snow I moved, snow they dumped on my land like I was the neighborhood landfill with a pulse. And the wildest part? They thought I'd just smile, nod, and shovel it like a good little homeowner. 6:47 a.m. Metallic scraping ripped me out of sleep. That sharp steel-on asphalt scream snowplows make, like somebody dragging a sword down a chalkboard. Diesel engines rumbling, idling heavy, thick enough you could feel it in your chest. I pulled the curtain back, expecting normal snow removal. Instead, I watched 4 HOA trucks back up to the edge of my property and dump every single flake they'd scraped off Stonefield Manor straight into my yard. Not a little pile, I'm talking a mountain. Road salt stinging the air, dirty gray, snow stacked taller than my mailbox. Chunks of ice the size of bowling balls blocking my driveway solid. The lead driver saw me watching and just shrugged. Where else we supposed to put it? That shrug, that lazy, entitled little shoulder twitch. That's when something inside me snapped. My wife Sarah was inside, still weak from chemo. My twin girls, Emma and Grace, were 16, trying to pretend they weren't terrified their mom might not make it. We'd sold our bigger house to pay medical bills. Uncle Pete's old corner lot was supposed to be our fresh start. And here comes the HOA, led by one Cordelia Ashford, deciding my property was their snow graveyard. You ever notice how bullies test you when you're down? They sniff weakness like dogs. Cordelia Ashford, 62, inherited money. White Mercedes with Queen Bee on the plate. Pearls to take out the trash, like she was auditioning for a villain role nobody asked for. She ran the HOA like it was her own tiny kingdom. 3 days after the first dump, I find an envelope tucked under my windshield wiper. Official letterhead. Fancy font. $500 fine for excessive snow accumulation blocking community access. I read it twice because surely I'd misunderstood. They dumped snow on my land and fined me for it. When I confronted Cordelia at her oversized colonial, she adjusted her pearls and smiled that finishing school smile. Mr. Kavanaugh, she said, the HOA has prescriptive rights to that area from 37 years of continuous use. Prescriptive rights. Legal talk for, we've been using it so long we think it's ours. Show me the easement, I said. She didn't have one. And that's when I realized this wasn't a mistake. It was policy. Uncle Pete had let them use that strip of land with a handshake back in the 80s. No paperwork, just neighborly goodwill. But goodwill doesn't transfer with the deed. And I'm not Uncle Pete. See, I've spent 25 years operating heavy equipment. Bulldozers, compactors, backhoes. I named them after World War II generals. My main dozer? General Patton. And I've learned something moving earth, leverage matters. Pressure points matter. If you control the terrain, you control the outcome. So I hired a surveyor. Chuck Morrison came out with enough laser equipment to map Mars. 3 days later, he hands me a report that might as well have been a death certificate. That private HOA street crossed 42 feet into my land. No easement, no deed restriction, nothing recorded. 36 years of trespass dressed up as tradition. I delivered copies of that survey to every house in Stonefield Manor. Not to stir drama, just truth. That's when the twist hit. 3 neighbors knocked on my door that afternoon, not angry. Curious. Is it true, Jim Martinez asked, the HOA's been charging us $200 a year to maintain a road they don't own? Now we're talking. Turns out Cordelia's management company, Ashford Property Services, was billing the HOA for road maintenance. The HOA was billing residents, and the numbers didn't add up. Jim, who sat on a minor committee, slipped me financial statements. Road maintenance costs were inflated. Snow removal billed triple what it actually cost. And guess who owned the management company? Cordelia. She wasn't just dumping snow. She was double-dipping funds. Embezzlement and pearls. When she sent out a surprise $500 special assessment to cover legal fees for fighting me, that's when the neighborhood turned. Nothing unites people faster than unexpected charges. She escalated, hired a big law firm, sent me an 8-page threat letter talking about adverse possession. But buried in paragraph 3 was a gift. While formal documentation may not have been recorded. Translation: they had nothing. Then she made the mistake that ended her reign. One night she and her lawyer showed up on my property trying to pull up survey stakes. On camera, Deputy Williams responded, asked for documentation. Silence. The next morning, somebody tried sabotaging my equipment. Hydraulic lines slashed. That was it. January 8th, 8 a.m., Channel 7 cameras rolling, General Patton roared to life. Diesel growl echoing across the subdivision. We took every ounce of that snow they dumped and compacted it into a 12-foot wall, reinforced with rebar, positioned precisely on my property line where their road crossed illegally. Not blocking a public road, blocking trespass. Neighbors gathered, some whispering, some grinning. At 9:45, the white Mercedes came flying down the street. Cordelia stormed up, red-faced. Stop this immediately. I shut down the engine. Silence fell heavy. Show me the easement, I said. She stepped onto my property and yanked out a survey stake. On camera, Deputy Williams arrived just in time to watch her toss it aside. Ma'am, he said calmly, do you have legal documentation proving HOA ownership? We have established usage rights. That's not documentation. And right there, in front of 60 neighbors and a news crew, she snapped. People like him need to know their place. The air went still. Because now it wasn't about snow. It wasn't about roads. It was about control. Handcuffs clicked shut around her wrists while she screamed about property values and community standards. The wall stood 6 hours. That's all it took. By afternoon, the remaining board members were in my living room negotiating. They acknowledged no easement existed, offered back payments, formal rent for access, full transparency. I accepted with one change. The $35,000 in back payments went to the county veterans PTSD fund. Justice, not revenge. Cordelia resigned. Her management company came under investigation for tax fraud and embezzlement. The special assessment was refunded. The HOA restructured under new leadership. The wall melted by April. Grass underneath was greener than ever. Funny how insulation works. Here's the thing nobody tells you. Bullies don't stop because you ask nicely. They stop when consequences become more expensive than arrogance. I didn't win because I yelled louder. I won because I documented everything. Because I understood leverage. Because I refused to let my daughters watch their father get steamrolled. Sometimes justice doesn't look like a courtroom. Sometimes it looks like a snow wall 12 feet high and a white Mercedes sitting abandoned in the street. So here's my question for you. If someone used your lowest moment against you, would you swallow it for peace, or would you stand your ground and risk everything? Where's the line between defending your rights and escalating a war? Drop your thoughts below. Tell me, have you ever dealt with an HOA nightmare or someone who mistook your kindness for weakness? Let's talk about it.